Some killers act on impulse, others plan for years, in complete silence. Israel Keyes didn't look dangerous. He had no pattern, no specific victims, no fixed location, and that's what made him invisible. This is Silent Files. Real stories hidden in silence. Israel Keyes was not like other serial killers. He didn't stalk neighborhoods. He didn't leave signatures. He didn't even kill in the same state where he lived. Instead, he meticulously planned everything years in advance. He traveled thousands of miles across the United States, hiding caches of weapons and tools, and then he would just wait, sometimes for years. He wasn't hunting for a specific person. He was hunting for an opportunity. This approach made him a ghost, a phantom that moved through the country without leaving a trace, operating completely outside the boundaries of traditional criminal profiling. The FBI had never seen anything like it. His randomness was his greatest weapon, and he wielded it with terrifying precision. Born in 1978, Israel Keyes grew up in a strict, isolated, and off-the-grid environment, homeschooled with his siblings in a community that shunned modern society. To those who knew him later in life, he seemed quiet, intelligent, and incredibly disciplined. He joined the army and became a highly regarded soldier. After his service, he started his own successful construction business in Alaska. He had a girlfriend and a daughter. He was a father, a business owner, a respected member of his community. There were absolutely no visible warning signs, no red flags. But behind that carefully constructed facade of a normal life, Keyes was building something else entirely. A secret, horrifying system designed for one purpose: to allow him to commit murder and get away with it, again and again. Years before committing a crime, Keyes would embark on cross-country road trips. He'd fly to one city, rent a car, and drive thousands of miles to another, all under the guise of business or vacation. But his real mission was to bury what he chillingly called his kill kits. These were 5-gallon buckets filled with everything he would need to commit a crime: guns, ammunition, zip ties, knives, and tools for body disposal. He buried them all over the country, from Washington state to Vermont, creating a deadly network of resources. There was no victim in mind when he buried a kit. No date was planned. It was just preparation. Then, when the urge struck, he would fly to a city near one of his kits, dig it up, commit his crime, and vanish without a trace, leaving the weapons behind. Because of this method, his crimes had no discernible pattern. Keyes chose his victims completely at random. He targeted people of different ages, different genders, and from different walks of life. He attacked in remote rural areas, suburban neighborhoods, public parks, and inside people's homes. By constantly changing his methods, locations, and victimology, he stayed off every profiler's radar. Law enforcement had nothing to connect his crimes. A murder in Vermont, a couple killed in Washington, a young woman abducted in Alaska to investigators. These were separate, unrelated tragedies. But to Keyes, they were all part of his secret life. And the randomness, the lack of connection, was entirely intentional. It was the core of his design. What terrified investigators the most wasn't just the violence of his crimes, but the chilling psychological control he exhibited. When he was finally caught and interrogated, Israel Keyes showed no panic, no remorse, no urgency or emotional reaction of any kind. He described his abductions and murders calmly, almost mechanically, with a detached clarity that was deeply unsettling. He discussed the logistics, the planning, and the acts themselves as if he were recounting a construction project. It was as if he was talking about something inevitable. This cold, calculated demeanor revealed a mind that was not just devoid of empathy, but one that saw other human beings as objects for his gratification. The horror was not just in what he did, but in how he felt nothing about it. For over a decade, Israel Keyes believed he was untouchable. His system was perfect. He had committed crimes across the country and had never been a suspect. But in February 2012, in Anchorage, Alaska, he made a mistake. He abducted an 18-year-old barista, Samantha Koenig, from her coffee stand. After murdering her, he deviated from his own rules. He used her debit card. This single, uncharacteristic error left a digital trail. ATM withdrawals created a clear path for investigators to follow. Surveillance footage captured his image. Bank transactions pinpointed his movements. For the first time in his long criminal career, the silence had left a crack, and evidence began to seep through. The ghost finally had a shadow. After his arrest, as investigators began to peel back the layers of his life, they realized something deeply disturbing. Israel Keyes was hiding far more than they could ever have imagined. In a series of chilling interviews, he began to confess. He admitted to the murder of Samantha Koenig. He admitted to killing Bill and Lorraine Carrier in Vermont. He spoke of other victims, in Washington, New York, and possibly elsewhere. He hinted at a total of up to 11 murders. But he played a cat-and-mouse game with the FBI. He would reveal some information, but refused to give up everything. Some locations of his kill kits, the names of some victims, the full details of his crimes. He took those secrets with him. In December 2012, while awaiting trial in his Anchorage jail cell, Israel Keyes ended his own life. He left behind a drawing of 11 skulls and a rambling, incoherent note, but no full confession, no complete list of his victims, no map to his buried caches, just silence. He left a legacy of unanswered questions and grieving families scattered across the country, who may never know for certain what happened to their loved ones. His story ended as it was lived, in darkness and control, on his own terms. Israel Keyes proved that not all monsters leave obvious footprints. Some plan with chilling patience, some hide perfectly in plain sight, living among us as neighbors, co-workers, and family men. And some are only discovered because, eventually, silence breaks. And when it does, the truth it reveals can be more terrifying than we can ever imagine. This was Silent Files, real stories hidden in silence. Thanks for watching. If you found this story compelling, please consider subscribing for more deep dives into the cases that history almost forgot.